the 20th birthday celebration of our being in this church. I'd hoped that we were going to have 20 candles, great big candles, up on the roof, but John somehow wouldn't get up and put them there, so you're just going to have to use your imagination. At one point in our early deliberations, one of our members made the astute observation that we were in the middle of a leap of faith, a pretty scary image when you think about it. We had sold our building, the property a little bit to the west of us on Kingston Pike, and we had committed to buying this property, but we hadn't yet figured out a design for the building or how to pay for it. We had made the leap, but we weren't quite sure where we were going to land. Today, three of us who were intimately involved in that decision, John Bohstedt, who was then church president, Julie Hardin, Capital Campaign Chair, and I, Chair of the Architect Selection and Building Design Committee, want to share some of that story for those who were not a part of the church then, and to do a little reminiscing for those of you who were. Our leap in the 1990s is only one of many courageous moves made by this congregation, this relatively small but intrepid band of religious liberals here in the Tennessee Valley, and it just might be that a willingness to make such risks is a part of our congregational DNA. Please join in celebrating with us today.
Our responsive reading this morning is an abbreviated version of the one in the dedication service for this building in May of 1998. And our musicians today are performing most of the music from that day, from that dedication service. Now, shall we join in the responsive reading? Blessed be the dreamers who saw the present through the prism of the future, who saw in the grace of the present the promise of a greater tomorrow. Blessed be the malcontents who groused and goaded us to question our complacency and framed a larger possibility. Blessed be the long-range planning committee that patiently brought us to reevaluate our mission goals and guided the emerging consensus to create a new building. Blessed be the architect selection committee, which begat the building design committee that listened to our needs and wishes and to the architect's proposals and negotiated a plan for a bricks and mortar embodiment of our ambitions. Blessed be the capital campaign committee that translated our wishes into commitments of cash to fuel our collective dream. Blessed are all who Blessed be the kitchen planners, the art gallery designers, those who planned for the religious education of our children, the ones who chose the 20 words that adorn our building, those who assembled the pews, who packed and unpacked boxes, who sorted and hauled and cleaned and provided snacks, those who planted trees using a little bobcat and lots of shovels, and those who walked proudly down Kingston Pike, carrying items that joined the new and the old church buildings. Blessed be the pipework instructors and finishers and the organ builder, the help of our own little Allan, whose stunning work now fills the sacred space. Special blessings go to those who ministered to us. Blessed be the bond of trust that we created together in meeting the challenge of change. Blessings upon this congregation. Now, before we go further, please take this gold leaflet out of your order of service.
Please put it in your pocket or your purse and take it home instead of recycling it. This is an important part of our life story. It's a keeper. So, the decision to build. How did we come to create this beloved home 20 years ago? We've been calling it our leap of faith, but that's really shorthand for our voyage of faith. That voyage was a journey to commitment, not only to the immense project, but even more a commitment to each other in our community. That commitment to each other is really the foundation on which we built this building. Many decades ago, I grew up in the West Des Moines Methodist Church, a congregation of people not much different from us here at TVUUC. In 1953, we were gathering in a rundown old building. Then one Sunday morning, a good member named Peggy LeVere walked up to the pulpit, asked the minister to sit down and pray for her. She said to us, "We've talked about a new church for years. It's about time. We buy cars and carpets on time," meaning on the installment plan for those of you less than 50 years old. "We can buy a church on time. If 40 families would each borrow $1,000, we could build this new church." She told her surprised husband John to bring the blackboard up to the front, and he wrote their name and $1,000 on it. A line formed in the center aisle, and $13,000 was pledged that morning. 2 years later, we marched up the street into our new church. I was there, aged 9. So my home church taught me that a miracle was possible when people joined together and stretched to take a leap of faith. I knew that because I had lived it. Now, what about our voyage here at TVUUC? In 1994, there was a significant convergence. The Baptists across the street offered to buy our old church, and there was a great piece of land for sale down Kingston Pike. Was this an opportunity for us? Well, we began to inquire into this moment. The jumping off point for me personally came in February 1994. The Long-Range Planning Committee was meeting in my living room. We were each reporting on a program area of the church. Did our current building work for that area, that program? Elnora Williams reported that evening on our religious education program. That was a great fit since Elnora was an education professional. She was the principal of Sunnyview Elementary School. Elnora concluded that our building was strangling our RE program. Even more important to me was her tone. Her solid professional analysis. My scalp began to tingle. You know that feeling when you have an aha moment? Wow, I said to myself, this is for real. This isn't just simple hypotheticals. We are really looking at how our church and our building work. So Elnora's strong professional approach launched me on my real-world voyage of discovery. Over the next 4 years, our beloved community embarked on a vision quest, a voyage of discovery. Dozens of people led meetings and discussions. in which hundreds of us participated. That itself was a revelation. Do you know many people who get up in the morning and say, now where can I find more meetings to go to? For instance, two of our members, architects Jerry Anderson and Ken Moffat, taught some of our large gatherings about the practical and the visionary, how such a big building works, and what various facilities we might need. For example, could we imagine a sanctuary with air conditioning? We learned from experts, but especially for 3 years as we discussed plans and options, we listened to each other with open hearts and open minds. Those mutual engagements grew us together, messily, of course. A few people felt they had to leave, but more came aboard. Most important in these deliberations, we grew into collective ownership of this voyage. Hundreds of members climbed onto the ship and grabbed an oar and began rowing. Many families ultimately borrowed serious sums from their banks, car-sized sums, to bring to the building fund so we could buy the land, build our new church. It was not only faith and hope, it was also hard and persistent work led by Ginna's team and Julie's team, and later by Pat Bing and George Cooper's team. We were totally short of rich people. So we had to arrive at a responsible and realistic budget. $1.25 million from the sale of our old church, $1 million from a capital fund drive, $1 million worth of mortgage, and finally, said our careful budget, and here a $200,000 miracle occurs. And yes, in the end, that miracle happened. Taking the whole 4-year project as an unfolding miracle, we didn't so much make the miracle happen, but we opened the door and provided a good place for it to land. So 20 years ago, we completed our TVUUC Voyage of Faith to this, our new home for our worship, love, and service. This church home stands as a monument to the power of faith. Faith joined to commitment and action. This miracle was a journey, not a lightning bolt. In December 1997, when we marched down the street to our new home, like the Hebrews moving their tabernacle, we felt joy. What have we done? And indeed, if we stretch together, what might we be able to do? What have we done? And indeed, if we stretch together, what might we be able to do? And so the story continues.